Hello guys, it's extremely good here, and today I'm bringing you guys the next video in my new series, how to become a Battlefield 3 Pro. Now this video is basically gonna cover a little part of sensitivity and mostly is gonna be about how to aim and how to set up your classes. Now first of all, I'm gonna show you guys a sensitivity tip before I move on to how to aim and set up your class. Now, in case some of you haven't noticed, there's a folder in your documents folder that's called Battlefield 3, and if you go to it, you could see some settings and actually see your in-game settings. Now, don't open this with Notepad, because if you do that, it's not gonna organize the text properly, so you're gonna see a bunch of, I don't know what this is, but it's definitely not organized. So you want to use WordPad to open it. There you go. So you can actually change your sensitivity here in terms of using numbers for it. Like I think it's when you scroll down to get input and mouse sensitivity right here. This is the line you want to change. You can actually put in numbers here, and this is basically useful in terms of if there's that sensitivity that you just can't find, that when it's at, for example, when it's at 0.18 and it's too slow, and when it's at 0.20 it's too fast, and the game doesn't actually change it to 0.19 for you, you can actually come in here and do that yourself. So you could, put it right in between the 0.18 and the 0.20. So yeah, you guys can try that out and see if that helps you. But let's move right into aiming. Okay, so aiming. How do you aim? Now, the way I do it is I basically try to understand the recoil of my gun before I add the attachments to it. So, for example, here I'm gonna be using the AEK, and first step is just taking out every attachment that affects the way the gun shoots. So I only have the underslug on this, and I'm gonna find a wall where I can actually see my bullet impacts. You could do this process while playing, but I just wanted to hop in the empty server and just show you guys in detail what I'm talking about. Okay, so first step is understanding the recoil of the gun before adding attachments to suit your playstyle. Okay, so over here, I'm gonna aim down my sights, and then I'm just gonna fire without controlling recoil. Okay, now we could see that's a terrible recoil right there. Not only does it shoot upwards and to the left, it also goes from left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right, and that's why so many people hate the AEK. But we can fix this. At least we can try to fix this. So I know my gun shoots this way, so I know I can control this recoil by just pulling down and to the right, and also due to the left and right, side to side recoil, foregrip will probably be needed for this. Flash suppressor, heavy barrel, it's totally up to you, because those two basically are the same thing, but the heavy barrel is more close range because it has a high vertical recoil, which enables you to hit more headshots. Okay, so I'm just gonna switch over here and put on the flash suppressor, because that's what I like to use. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the flash suppressor and foregrip here. Foregrip to control the side to side, and then flash suppressor to improve my aimed accuracy. Now the flash suppressor, I use it basically because I like being able to hit people from long distances. I don't like seeing people and then not being able to hit them, because I don't have the ability to do so. Now, basically, the foregrip does reduce your accuracy. I think it's over 50 meters. Then that's affecting the way you shoot. But regardless, having foregrip on the AEK is better than not having the foregrip, because the side to side on this gun it's ridiculous. It's almost impossible to control. So I'm gonna give you guys an example here. I'm gonna actually try to control the recoil here by just pulling down and then to the right. Okay. Alright. Need a better wall. This doesn't really show what. Let's see, let's try this one over here. Okay. Okay, man, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. When you look at my gun when I'm shooting, you don't really see this spread. You don't see my gun going from here to here, but it actually does happen. The spread just happens. That's how the AK is. It has that left and right side-to-side recoil that it's impossible to control, and people just don't like the gun because of that. So I'm gonna show you this again. Right there. It's just you can't do anything about it. Okay. So to control this, I basically do bust fires, and you can't really notice it if you bust fire. So I'm gonna try this again. Okay, right there. So you can definitely see, because the longer you hold down the AEK, the like it gets to a point where that's drifting. Okay, but if you do bust fires, I don't know how many bullets first, so I think it's 5 or 10, I can't remember, but you don't get to that level when it's that drifting, and you can just keep doing bust fires, and basically you don't notice the side-to-side recoil. Now I'm gonna switch over to the M16, and then you guys can see the difference as to why people always use the M16. Okay, so with the M16, I basically put the Cobra sight on the slug row and the flash suppressor. Now, I know you guys are wondering why I don't use the foregrip on the M16, but I do use it on the AK. According to DICE, the foregrip does reduce your aim accuracy at longer distances, and that's the reason I don't use it on the M16. But you guys are probably like, oh, but you use it on the AEK. But well, that's because the AEK with the foregrip is basically the same thing as the M16 without the foregrip. So if I can afford to use the AEK with the foregrip and still be able to kill people at longer ranges, then I should be able to use the M16 without the foregrip and kill people at longer ranges. Because I don't want that added, decrease the accuracy over longer ranges because I have the foregrip on it. Because it's basically the same thing with the AEK when it has a foregrip on it. So I'm gonna show you guys here in a second. Oh, I finally found one. Okay, so I'm gonna just gonna go up full auto here, aim down my sights and just fire. And that's the flash suppressor on the M16 without the foregrip. Now this is basically the same thing we saw with the AEK and the foregrip. I'm gonna die over here real quick and just fire, and you guys can see what the AK looks like with the foregrip. But I'm gonna try and control this recoil here by pulling down and pulling to the left. Okay, do it one more time. Alright, so I'm gonna suicide there and then spawn with the AEK. This is the AEK and this is the foregrip and the flash suppressor, and you're gonna see what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna aim the same level, then shoot. Now, look at that spread. They're basically the same thing, I have the foregrip on this one and I don't have the foregrip on this one. So this is basically the same spread pattern. They're not that different. So this is the AK with the foregrip, and this is the M16 without the foregrip. So it's like they're basically the same thing. But for sure, when you add the foregrip to the M16, this spread is gonna become better. But remember, it does fuck up your accuracy at longer ranges. So that's the only reason I don't use it. But for close range, you definitely want the foregrip on your M16. But for longer ranges, I just don't use it because it's basically the same thing with the AEK when it has the foregrip. So I'm gonna try and control this recoil here. And you're gonna see it looks just like the M16 without the foregrip. And that's basically why people don't like the AEK, because when you add the foregrip to it, the side-to-side recoil doesn't really go away. But with the M16, imagine if I had the foregrip on this, the side-to-side recoil would basically disappear, and all you have is just vertical recoil, and all you have to do is just pull down on your mouse to control the recoil. But on this, you can't really control side-to-side recoil. It's impossible with the AK. because it happens at different instances, and you would have to master when it happens, which is basically humanly impossible. So yeah, that's it for aiming, guys. You just have to understand the recoil of your gun and how to control it and what you need to add to it to make it suit your playstyle. So also, just a quick aiming tip. I see a lot of people when they're moving around on their videos. I see them moving this way with their crosshairs pointing to the ground, and I don't know if this is a big problem, but to me, I just don't. I'm OCD when I see people just pointing down like this. I always have mine pointing up like this. So when I see people, all I have to do is aim down my sights, and it basically gives you a higher reaction time. And for hip fires, if for example, let's say you run into someone, your cursors would be already above here, waiting to hit their head. So if you were to hip fire, you're most likely gonna hit them in the head and get a headshot and kill them faster. And the same thing goes for when you're just aiming down your sights normally. Okay, you're moving around, your cursors are upwards. When you aim down your sights, you're most likely gonna be aiming at this guy's upper body, and bullets do more damage upper body, and you basically want to maximize the amount of headshots that you get on your enemies. Okay, so another aiming tip would be paying attention to the guy you're shooting at, because most people just aim down their sights and then they just shoot. Okay, you always want to try and control that recoil. For example, let's say this is an enemy, I'm gonna just shoot his head. Okay, control that recoil, try to cancel it. Okay, don't do this. You just you're gonna miss every single bullet. Always try to control that. Do burst fires, and just look at your opponent. Just make sure you're actually looking at who you're shooting at. Okay, look at the individual when you're shooting at him, and just make sure you're hitting his upper body. Adjust your aim, because aiming is basically a piece of cake when you have your sensitivity down. And if you missed my previous videos on that, you probably should check it out. So if you have your sensitivity down, aiming shouldn't be a problem, because you should be able to control the recoil on the gun, and your mouse should be, you should be able to snap onto people because you have the right sensitivity. So yeah, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video.